In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about this 12 by 36 Grizzly engine lathe. It's model G4003. This is not going to be a review of the machine, but rather some of the things that I did to make it better. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you may own a machine similar to this, or maybe even the same one. And there's also an even better chance that you bought the pedestals and the chip tray that came with it, which is what I want to talk to you about. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Machining Plus CNC. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. If you'll notice, the stand that my machine is setting on does not look like the pedestals and chip tray that you may have got with yours. The chip pan is a good foot below the bottom of the machine, and I'm able to slant it so the coolant drains off into my bucket here. The stand itself is made out of some 4-inch H-beam that I had laying around. It's very heavy duty, and if you have the skills to do a little bit of fabrication, you can do something like this too. One of the things I incorporated to the stand, and I don't know how well you can see it, but that bolt right there, that little socket head Allen screw, acts as a leveler. These feet are probably a good 30 inches apart, so I got a nice wide base. One of the problems I had with the one I had before, with the optional pedestal, is that the pedestal itself was only about a foot wide, so the machine and everything was very top heavy and prone to tipping over if you weren't careful. It also vibrated a lot because it lacked rigidity. The other thing you can't see in here, but if you'll look, you see that pin on the side, there's actually a roller under there. It's just a homemade roller made out of some 2-inch round steel. Got a pin in it. That way if I want to pull the machine off the wall, I got to clean up behind it, whatever, I can do so. It's very easy to move the machine. Some of these other little splash guards I made with a plasma cutter that I no longer have, but nonetheless, this particular one keeps all the coolant from dripping on your knees. Pretty nice, you know. I don't want to get my pants wet or nothing like that. Made this upper one here to deflect some of the chips. I mean, you're not going to keep all the chips in the machine. That's just the way it is. But anything you can do to mitigate it is a wonderful thing. Also, I made this little stand. It just kind of hooks on the back of the splash guard, a place to put tools, because if you have a lathe, you know it's just another table in the shop and everything seems to gravitate and pile on top of it. Made this little roll, not a roll out, but a little pivoting table that I can keep some of my normally, you know, my popular used tools on there. And the whole thing swings out. Just on a little pivot, and that way my tools are within reach, but my calipers, live centers, whatever. But if you have the pedestal and the original chip tray, the one thing you're probably painful aware of is you only have about 2 inches under it for all the chips to go, and then you got to clean all that stuff out after you've let it get way out of control. The tray I got here just pulls out. If you want to pull it out and dump the whole thing, I just scrape it out with a paint scraper or whatever's handy and put it in the trash can. And like I said, this is not intended to be a review of the machine, but rather things you can do to make it better. So I'm going to show you some other little things that I made as far as work goes. It's made my life easier when I go to use it. While I was making the stand, I also incorporated these little hangers to put my extra machine accessories on there. So that's my 4-jaw chuck, steady rest. Keeps them off the floor. Great thing. Alright, one of the things I want to show you that I did, if you're ever running like multiple parts, you know, you want to maintain the length of your part and keep them all the same. So the one thing you're going to need is just a stop, and this is a simple piece that I made out of some 1/2-13 all thread. Got a little aluminum bushing. It's tapped 1/13. This piece is up closer to the chuck, so something like that. The plug is threaded to fit the back of the spindle, and I just got a wing nut, a little jam nut, so you can adjust this in or out for whatever you need. If you're running a long stuff, you would have to make another 1/13 rod, you know, a shorter piece. Just depends on what you want to do. But if you look here, I tap these holes so I could put these socket head screws in there. So once this piece is screwed up all the way in the spindle, I can use this kind of like a jam nut, and it locks this piece in and keeps it from turning. It just simply screws in, and once it comes up to a stop, I'll take my Allen wrench and screw those little socket head screws up till they jam up against there, and that piece is not going to come loose. I can run all my parts. For example, if this is my part and it's just a piece of bar stock laying on the machine, but I want to maintain my length, so now I have a positive stop. I know you can't see it here, but you can hear it. I got a positive stop to locate my part, and that way they're all going to be the same at the end of my run. One of the other things I did, if you're ever running long bars where you got the bar sticking out, you know, a few inches past the end of your spindle, you take this out. I made this little piece, and it threads into the back of the spindle just like my stop did. I got this little flange on here, 4 bolts. This is just a piece of gray PVC plastic that I had laying around. So if I'm running a 1/2-inch bar, I could put that insert in there, screw it into the back of the machine, and I got a nice support. And that's gonna keep my bar from whipping. Whipping's a bad thing. If I want to run a larger size, I made several of these in fractional sizes, but if I want to run a larger size, and that's, I don't know, 7/8, we'll go with that. I'll just interchange it, put that 7/8 one in there, and screw it, and I got a nice support. Now you don't have to do this. You can make a, you know, out of whatever you may have laying around your shop. You may have plastic, piece of metal, whatever works. This is just a way that I did it. I can reach into a bucket and quickly change them out.